Please bear that in mind. Hey. So today we're reading, I think, from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah.
Adi Lila, Volume 2, Chapter 9. We normally sing Gora, Kirtan, Gora Bhakta. What do we sing before class?
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu.
Pardon?
Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
No, we sing Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Poro More Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Karamare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Vina Te Doyalo Jagata Matita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Matita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Matita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Musamo Patita Prabhu Napayipeyana Musamo Patita Prabhu Napayipeyana Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Swarupi Ha Nityananda Premananda Swarupi Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Swarupi Premananda Swarupi Kripa Bala Kanakara Ami Boro Duki Kripa Bala Ami Boro Can't use it. Harmony is broken. প্রার্থনা করো আমি বড় প্রার্থনা করো আমি বড় দয়া করো Advaita Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Sachi Sutta ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Shri Radha Paraseshwar. Agora Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Transcendental book distribution ki jai. Hari Nama Sankirtan ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. All glories to Sri Guru. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Today we're reading from the 9th chapter. I don't know if there's a specific verse on the board, is there? Is there a number to the verse?
40.
Number 40? Text number 40. So kindly repeat. Jagat, Jagat,
Jagat
Vyapya,
Vyapya
Mora,
Mora
Habe,
Habe
Punya,
Punya
Khyati,
Kyati
Sukhi,
Sukhi
Aya,
Aya
Loka,
Loka
Mora,
Mora
Gahiveka,
Gaiveka
Kirti,
Kirti
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Sukhyaya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Sukhyaya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya
Kyati Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti,
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Kyati
Jagat Vyapya Mora Habe Punya Khyati,
Sukhi Aya Loka Mora Gaiveka Kirti
Sukhi Haya Loka Mora Gahiveka Kirti, Jagatyapiya moraha vipunyakyati Sukhi hayya lokamora gahi vekakirti Jagat Vyapiya spreading all over the world. Mora Mai Have there will be Punya pious Kyati reputation Sukhi happy Haya becoming Loka all the people Mora Mai Gai Beka glorified Kirti reputation they were in one of the most what do they say profound, no, maybe not the right word, one of the most special sections of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the preacher's paradise. I remember one time in the United Kingdom, this was going back to around about 1980, maybe 81, and I was hitchhiking. In those days we didn't have cars. We didn't have money. We would hitchhike. You know what hitchhike means?
Yes.
You stick your thumb out and stand on the roadside and hope, and dress like this, and hope that someone may stop. And sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours would go by, nobody would stop. And what would you do? Just chant Hare Krishna non-stop. Anyway, that was one of those occasions. I was hitchhiking from Newcastle in the north of England down to what was then Chaitanya College, which was south of Birmingham, maybe 200, I don't know, miles or more. And there were many others. In those days, many people would hitchhike. Wherever you stood, you expect at least 10, 12 other people with their thumbs out in the same corner. So I started hitchhiking, and somehow or another I got a lift for some distance after some time, and a nice person. And then I was getting lifts all the way through, somehow or another, although waiting sometimes an hour, it was going quite well, but the lifts were short because it was a cross country, it wasn't like a direct road, you know. And, you know, maybe 6, 7 different lifts during the day, like 10, 20, 30, 40 miles like that each. And then last thing at 11, I started about 6 in the morning, it was 11 o'clock at night, and the last lift dropped me off in the middle of nowhere. Literally. You know, like on a, you know, we all, perhaps you all know what back New Mayapur is like. You kind of, some of those little streets, little roads near New Mayapur are very small. And we drove the other day in the night and there was no traffic. I counted 2 vehicles in 1 hour that we saw on those little roads. And so it's one of those type of roads. The roads in England, these little roads are so narrow, only 1 car can pass them. And they have bushes, they're really, and this person dropped me off there in the middle, 11 o'clock at night, about 20 kilometers from Chaitanya College. And it was a cold night. What to do? There was not a single building to be seen. He turned down another little road and went off and dropped me on the corner. And there was no buildings in sight, and I didn't even know where I was. We had no mobiles in those days. No communication systems. So I stood there and I thought, well, I guess this is it for the night. Wait for the morning and just somehow maybe walk on and chant Hare Krishna. I started walking on a little way. Suddenly some lights came down the little road. And they passed by me and then came to a halt. It was a fancy car. It was a Volvo, a big Volvo. I thought, oh my God, this is a miracle. I thought it was one of the devotees because at that time I wasn't involved in the mainstream. I was a little rebel. I started Independent Centre in Newcastle. I fancied the way things were going. But they had purchased a fleet of Volvo cars at the temple. They did have money at the temple. I had no money. But they did have some money those days. They were collecting money. And they had I don't know how many, but a lot of the devotees had Volvo cars. They would go out collecting. Volvo is considered, maybe not so common now, but it was considered quite a good car in those days. Don't see so many around now. Swedish. So I thought, oh my God, this is a devotee coming down this back lane somewhere in the middle of the night, miraculously arranged by Krishna. But it wasn't. It was a well-to-do local lady, very well-to-do, elderly lady, in her 60s, I'd say. She stopped her car. I walked up. I was dressed like this. I went to the car. She opened. She went. The window came down. That's what happened. And she said, "Yes. Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know if you know it. I'm going to near Pershore. There's the Hare Krishna temple. It used to be called Croom Court." "Oh, I live just next door," she said. Just right next door. I said, "Do you want a lift?" I said, "Well, if you'd be kind enough." She said, "You're the first person in my life I've ever picked up. I never pick up hitchhikers." Said, "Because I can trust you, because of the way you're dressed." That's what she said. "I trust you." Those days people trusted monks. And I trust you. She took me right, not just to the door, she took me right inside and dropped me right at the front stairs of Chaitanya College. Everyone we met that day had an interest in Krishna consciousness. It was quite amazing.
Wow.
The lorry drivers, the car drivers, whatever, several lorries picked me up. And everyone had some kind of interest. It was a fascinating experience. And I was living then in Newcastle in a derelict house. That means a house which is uninhabitable, meant to be demolished. We had no money. I was staying there alone. So after that, I wrote an article which I submitted to the newsletter. And it was exactly on this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. How Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message should be spread. And how wonderful Lord Chaitanya is that he's given this Sankirtan movement and has requested everyone to distribute. It's not a monopoly. It is everyone's opportunity to some way or another, even in a small way, spread Krishna consciousness. And I just was inspired. This inspired me. Maybe I was reading it at the same time. I don't know exactly why. But I was inspired to write a little article on this experience. And in the center of that article, I quoted most of these wonderful, wonderful verses here of the tree of bhakti, of devotional service, and how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in today's verse, "If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere. And thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure." So why is Lord Chaitanya saying this? Let's see what Srila Prabhupada says. This prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. The Krishna consciousness movement is being distributed all over the world through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And people who were leading confused, chaotic lives are now feeling transcendental happiness. They are finding peace in Sankirtan, and therefore they are acknowledging the supreme benefit of this movement. This is the blessing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His prediction is now factually being fulfilled, and those who are sober, that doesn't necessarily mean just those who are not drunk. So usually in the West we use the word sober to refer to, when you've kind of recovered from your drinking or something. I'm sober now. But the word sober has a much more broader meaning in English. Level-headed, you're seeing things logically, reasonably. You're not intoxicated by, your intelligence is not bewildered by lust or greed or something, So this is more or less the meaning Prabhupada is referring to here, sober. In other words, those who are not mad for intoxications, those who are not intoxicated. In this day and age, of course, we're all intoxicated by more than just liquor or drugs or something like that. We're intoxicated by so many consumer items. We're intoxicated by entertainments of various kinds. We're intoxicated by just about everything that exists practically, which is in our favor. Or we may be in our negative. We're intoxicated by negativity also, fear or some feelings towards others which are not so good. So most people are absorbed in, let's say, unfavorable subject matters, which make it impossible for the living entity Nateva Svartagatting Matirna Krishna Padataksatova Mitodi Padeti Havitam. The persons who are so attached, they're so attached to this bodily identification, they're so attached to sense gratification, so attached to bodily identification means literally to the body, of course, but also to the extensions in terms of your family, your race, your nation, your humanity, your religion, your whatever it is. People are so fanatically attached to these temporary situations, and then no way they can understand Matirna Krishna Padapakshvataka. Not by the efforts of others. Maybe they make their own little effort, we're making our own little effort, but because we're still somewhat intoxicated, attached to whatever it may be, something which we've been associated with in the past, positive or negative, and our minds are occupied, and we can't, and that attraction to hearing and chanting about Krishna does not take place. Rather, we again and again, at least subtly, we're chewing the chewed again and again. Same thing over and over. In our minds. Externally something's going on. But inside, same thing. We're still meditating on this and that, or thinking about this, or we're still controlled by the modes of nature. In various ways. To transcend, to right above that, takes time, takes association, takes mercy. So, especially here, we were reading yesterday, I was reading this morning, but we were reading the other day, a beautiful verse from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which describes, I can't remember the number, and I can't remember the word for word, but approximately, it describes it. Unless the holy name of the Lord are chanted offenselessly, these the material desires of people will never go away. They will never go away. Now that can be applied in two different forms, at least. One is our own personal form, our own personal lives. We all are familiar with that. But you can also apply it in terms of the Sankirtan mission. That the pure chanting of the holy name eradicates the material desires or the material conditioning of those who happen to be fortunate enough to hear it in public. Yes. Jai Radhaparasishwar, Sutta Sridhara Baladev Savada Ki Jai. So it's like, obviously, if we're chanting the holy name offenselessly, then we understand that material anarthas and reactions in subtle and gross forms can be dissipated. Just like when the sun is, okay, we try to give an example. Right now the sun is quite strong, isn't it, in the summer? And it can be quite hot. If the sky is clear, the day can be quite hot. Now at the moment, if you go, what are we now, in July? Oh no, in August. So if we go now to Antarctica, maybe the sun is shining. You get a lot of sunshine there. But is it warm? No. It's very faint, it's very weak, it's very cold. You won't get very warm there, you'll freeze to death. Even if the sun is just on the horizon, which it is, you're still going to freeze to death, isn't it? Minus 40, minus 60. Even though the sun is visible, but it's very low, and there's much, whatever you call it, in between you and the atmosphere is very, full of haze or whatever. And so the sun rays are very weak. The sun rays are not weak. We're receiving a very weak signal from the sun. So the effect is very minimal. In fact, it may not even have much of an effect. Or it'd be very distant. But in the center of the middle of the summer, of course, Antarctica never gets particularly warm at the best of times. But here, when the sun is in the middle of the sky, even in the winter, the sun is not very strong, is it? I mean, the effect of the sun is not very powerful, for whatever reason. But in the summer, even probably within, I don't know if there's clouds in the sky or not, maybe there are, but if there's a clear sky, even by now, it will be quite warm, isn't it? Even 8 or 9 o'clock. Because the sun rays are powerful. Tivena Yoga. What's that verse? How does it go? Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktil Vasudeva Prana Gandhan Svanti Kasnya Nihara. No, that's a different word. What's that verse? Yes. It's strong. It should be Tivrena. It should be powerful like the sun, really. In order to eradicate these coverings of the soul. And they're so incredible, these coverings. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. Now, why? It's not just a nice movement where we have a, maybe not. You feel a little bit relief, or you feel some pleasure, we hope. But it's also very, very, it's eternal. It's not just something temporary to solve a problem. This is our eternal nature. Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is eternal. He's simply requesting everyone to enter in to his family, to the party. Come and enjoy the party. Come on. People are very keen on partying, usually, but they have to get intoxicated to enjoy the party. And here, a different type of intoxication. Intoxication of Sankirtan is a different quality altogether. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why he wants his name and fame, reputation spread all over the world? This sounds rather egocentric. If we were to say that, which we may do, we may think like that also. I do. I don't know what anyone else thinks. The first thing I see when I see a picture is, am I in it? Is my name mentioned? There's a tendency maybe there. And Lord, you could say, well, I'm just following Lord Chaitanya's footsteps here. But there's a difference between us and Lord Chaitanya. Probably. But there is. And a vast difference. There's some similarities. We all have the same consciousness to a certain minute degree, but not to the degree that Lord Chaitanya did. We can never take the place of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is the supreme personality. But anyone who chants his holy name, anyone who remembers Lord Chaitanya, everything becomes auspicious. The word is mentioned here, kirti. Very pious, is very fortunate. Just to hear his name, Chaitanya, Gauranga, Gaura Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sutta. Just to remember his name, or to speak of chanting, is very auspicious, so purifying, inconceivable. It's almost people have no idea how fortunate this is, opportune. But the more that sun of the holy name, Krishna Surya Sam, Mayahaya Andhakar, the darkness is removed in the presence of the sun. But the sun is very small, very glimmer, not small, but very low. You get some light, but it's not much. It's not enough to dissipate the fog of our consciousness. It's not enough to enlighten us within. Removal of all these anarthas. The chanting has to be pure to have the real effect. So we realize that we're not probably on that level. We have to, if we want to enter the family of Lord Chaitanya and be a real instrument for spreading this message of Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu has mentioned here, and glorify our Gurudev, glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We don't only glorify them by repetitive chanting, but by cultivating a relationship while we chant. Positive. Instead of chanting with a relationship with the material world, we want to chant with a relationship with the spiritual realm, with the holy name, pure holy name, without the anarthas occupying our consciousness. They'll come and they'll go, just like clouds in the sky. We were chanting yesterday in Montparnasse. Very nice. I was pleasantly surprised how nice it was. Not as busy as some places, but a constant flow of people passing by, no problems. And some nice people stopping and donating. A few nice people. We were there for 40 minutes, Rasika and myself. And the sun was behind a tree. And then slowly, of course, the sun moved and it sort of crept out of the tree. But then the cloud came. When the cloud was there, it was a little less sunny. And then when the cloud was not there, it would be called a little more sunny. At least we experienced it. So these clouds in our heart, they cover. Don't cover the sun. They cover our relationship with Krishna. So and then you just have to move a little bit. Don't stay in the cloud. In fact, just move to the other, because it's not within our power physically to do that, maybe. But the principle is the same. Let's put it the other way around. If the sun is blazing hot, we move into the shade. We don't stay in the sun. You have to move. You don't just stay there and get shriveled. So when these anarthas come in the heart, we don't just stand there and then say, welcome. No, we have to step aside or put them aside, one or the other. They may come, they will come, they'll surely come. The Prophet says, as long as we have a material body, material desires will come. But we don't have to embrace them, we don't have to accommodate them. Welcome. We don't have to do it. We don't need to get angry. In fact, we can thank them sometimes, because the only recourse is to take shelter of Krishna. Reminding us to take shelter of Krishna. And then to the degree that we're cultivating this, you could say, this mentality or this attitude, it can have a beneficial effect on others also. It's an interesting point. If we're all sat here in the room, for instance, chanting japa, and everyone's thinking of the Olympics or something, then quite likely it's going to affect each other, and it will be very difficult for someone not to be affected by the, they call it, collective consciousness, maybe? I know, it's an interesting point. It definitely has an effect. So it's also a part of preaching, internally and externally, to at least make that effort, as Krishna reminds us, to wherever and whenever the mind wanders due to its flickering nature, bring it back under the control of the self. Try to refocus. Don't become depressed. These are all various steps. It's like going to school. There will be some challenges. You may not get it right first time. You may not understand everything, but we persevere and carry on. Don't give up. Carry on. It's that endeavor, that sincere endeavor, which Krishna notices. He notices. So this is how we can really glorify the name of Lord Chaitanya, or bring about that auspiciousness, that we take shelter of their instruction or their mood, their mission, try to be a part of that. We can do many things, but in the consciousness that we're part of Lord Chaitanya's mission. You may be working, you may be doing this or that, family, whatever, but this is Lord Chaitanya's family. And becoming conscious of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unknown to the world. Many people know the name Krishna. Many people have heard about the Hare Krishna movement. I think when we arrived, was it Montparnasse? No, it was we went to Place d'Italie also yesterday. Also very nice. And the first people, right, Asika, who was just basically unpacking our bag, weren't we? And that group of people came by. What did they say?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hey, Hare Krishna. They were all kind of in English we call it a motley crew. What does that mean, Krishna Kripa?
Yeah, it's very variegated.
A variegated crew, you know, there's like, obviously they've been around a while, and they're like this type of people who kind of like, they're not all hanging out on the street, but they kind of come together and kind of hang out on the street. They're one step above those who actually hang all the time on the street. They're one up, you know, they're like a group of, like a kind of middle-aged lady who's kind of like, you know, they had enough of it. You know, and then a black guy and another guy who's, you know, probably high on some drug or something. That kind of group, you know, a really mixed group of people, and they're all in the same frame. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know, like this, you know. Hare Bo, you know, that sort of people who have been around a while, you know. The first people that we did see on the street, there's somehow or another, they've cottoned on. I was also very impressed yesterday in those two places particularly. There were quite a few elderly French people walking by, and a large number of them smiled at us. And Rasik may not notice that because I was chanting. But as they passed by, I saw they actually smiled. Some of them actually, at least 4 or 5 gave donations. Elderly people, French people. My impression, I didn't interact much because I was chanting. But my impression is that they were in their 60s or 70s, these people. And my impression was they'd seen us before. Probably when they were kids, and maybe in between. But, you know, it's not that everyone had a bad impression. They were kids, they had no impression in those days. Now they're 70 years old. They may have been hippies, who knows? But, you know, they're still remembering something favorable there. That was my impression. Something was in their heart, you know. It's not the... People tend to grow old, I don't know if you know that. They're maybe 20 years old when they're in 1970, but they're now 74 years old or something. They weren't 74 years old in 1970. So, you know, those impressions there. I've many programs, not now, I haven't done, but things may have changed. But about 10 years ago, we were doing a lot of public programs in Australia and New Zealand, a few. And I noticed the majority of people there were like in their 60s at the program. And they all had seen us in the 70s. And then they retired, and they thought, oh, let's check it out. What am I going to do with my life? You know? Well, New Zealanders are extremely open people. They're some of the sweetest Westerners in the world. In Australia, they're easygoing. But, you know, it was interesting to see that those seeds were they're still there. It's a matter of time before those seeds, which Lord Chaitanya is talking about here, fructify. And the more the purity is, we saw, and we all know, we may not have seen personally, but some of us have seen personally, how the effect of being in Prabhupada's association was so profound. I mentioned the other day, where was that message? I showed it, that was in New Mayapur, wasn't it? I showed that little presentation on the incorporation of ISKCON, which took place earlier this week. And one of my favorite pictures of Srila Prabhupada is a picture of Prabhupada in front of Jagannath, on the Rath car, I think. Right in front of Jagannath, he's got his hands up like this. You know this picture? And there's about 20, 30 people in the picture. Also, many of them with their hands up or singing, playing, clapping, all looking at Prabhupada. And you could see a few hands at the bottom. There's a crowd stuck up underneath there. And I was talking to Keshava Bharati Maharaj the other day, and he told me, this was in 1974 or something, 5 maybe. He said, I was there at that moment. Prabhupada put his hands up. But he wasn't on the stage nor in the crowd. He was at the back, behind the audience. It was a Ratha Yatra in San Francisco. He was at the back, and he would say, if I'm not mistaken, he said he was with Vaisheshika, who was probably a brahmachari at that time. And they were doing the book table at the very back, of the crowd. Prabhupada was at the front, the crowd, then they were at the back. And he said, wow, it was incredible. When Prabhupada put his hands up, the whole crowd put their hands up. Thousands and thousands of people put their hands up. Thousands. And just by the Srila Prabhupada's, he didn't ask them to put their hands up. We have to ask them to do it. They automatically put their hands up. Spontaneous effect of associating with the pure devotee of the Lord. More than that. That's what he said anyway. He said it was an incredible sight to see that. The effect of sadhu sangha, the effect of association. Oh. And Prabhupada actually said, it may have been at that Ratha Yatra, that anyone of you boys and girls who've attended this Ratha Yatra and are seeing Lord Jagannath here on the cart are going back to Godhead in your next lifetime. That's right there in the database. So this is a powerful effect of the pure devotee of the Lord, of chanting the holy name offenselessly, purely. Somebody who has taken this message of Lord Chaitanya fully to heart and is spreading the glories of Lord Chaitanya all over the world through the Sankirtan. It's so important we remember. Lord Chaitanya said, one who remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, difficult things become easy. One who forgets him, easy things become difficult. To remember that this movement is really, you could say, the manifestation of Lord Chaitanya's heart. His loving emotions towards Krishna in the mood of Radharani. This is the Sankirtan movement. We are assisting Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna in reality to fulfill his desire to taste the sweet love of Srimati Radharani. And this is experienced Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What Kaviraj Goswami says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, together with his associates, through the performance of congregational chanting, he tasted the sweet nectar of Krishna Prema. And along with his followers, he spread his Sankirtan movement even to the untouchables. And spread, and we wove. Some of you make garlands sometimes for the deities, and you try to select flowers which are nice and compatible, suitable for the deity's dress as much as possible. He wove a wreath. A wreath is what you put on usually a gravestone. Huh? People put these round. It's similar, it's like a garland. It's complete, but the garlands are not necessarily complete. They have a bit of string there. But a wreath is complete. He wove a wreath with which he garlanded the entire material world. And that wreath was composed of Sankirtan and Krishna Prema. That's this Sankirtan movement. It's not just a movement. It's a movement to awaken Krishna Prema, love of God. And that, of course, is already there. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, Satikapanai, is there in our hearts. It has to be awoken, Shravanadi, by the pure chanting of the holy name. We have to cultivate this Shuddhanam, pure chanting. Everything else is secondary. It may be useful, it may be valuable, it may be helpful, it may be important. At different stages it is. But ultimately its value is judged by how much effective it is in awakening Krishna Prema. That's the purpose of this movement. That's how we glorify Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not just by lip service, but by actual application of his medicinal process. Cultivation of Shuddhanam, pure chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So please keep clean. Try to be a part of keeping clean. Try to keep the temple clean. Try to keep your rooms clean. Try to keep your lockers clean. Try to keep everything clean as much as we can. And try to keep the heart clean. But environmental cleanliness is a big necessary help for us who are not very advanced, we're not transcendental to the modes of nature, so a little sacrifice to try to keep everything clean. Prabhupada was, sometimes people describe him as a bit of a fanatic on this one, but he was very, very serious about cleanliness. On all levels. On all levels. Do our best to work together and be a part of pleasing Srila Prabhupada, pleasing Radha Swar, Jai Sachi Sutta, and Baldev Subhadra. That will help us. Then their mercy will shine in our hearts and remove the dirt within our hearts. Hare Krishna. Okay. Any points or comments or questions or whatever? Would you like to say anything? Today is Saturday. Is that right? Today will be Harinam. Where are we going today? Anyone know?
Stalingrad.
Pardon? Stalingrad. We're going to Russia. How does it get the name Stalingrad?
I've always wondered that.
There's also Sebastopol. How do they get these names?
After the battle of
Kremlin also. How do they get these names in Moscow? Huh? In Paris, rather.
After the battle of Stalingrad.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a fact, is it?
Yeah.
And what about Kremlin? What about Sebastopol? These names are there, regular names in Paris. Obviously some historic reason.
We tried to. I just know one thing: is Napoleon tried to conquer Russia, but he failed.
He failed.
Maybe it was like, maybe it's related. Anyway.
So he recreated Russia in Paris. We will conquer Russia. We've conquered it. Here. It's now part of France. Stalingrad is now part of France. Maybe. It's amazing how Krishna's plan works. Behind everything, Krishna has a plan, no matter what it is. So today, we may be, hopefully, we're hoping to go on Sankirtan. And we're hoping that some of Prabhupada's books will go out, and somebody at least, we hope, will be able to chant Hare Krishna. Even if it's not pure, anything's better than nothing. Sometimes devotees say, oh, there's no point chanting, my chanting's so offensive. Well, it's never going to become offenseless if you don't chant at all, that's for sure. If you chant and recognize it's offensive, we try to do something about it, that's a good step. Even if we don't, still it's something. It'll take a long time, but it's something. The same thing on Hari. Now, well, people don't like us, but they're never going to like us. But they won't know about us if we don't go out at all. So you can say, oh, at least they're not offending us. A roundabout thing, but there's another factor involved. Is they get benefit by seeing the devotees, by hearing the devotees.
Yesterday, Pure Mataji gave the class.
Pardon?
Pure Mataji gave the class.
You gave a class, Harry Ball. Yeah.
It was talking about that. What is the name of the stage? Dadachi?
Pardon?
Who?
I didn't catch it.
He's talking about Dadichi, the sage who gave his bones for the demigods.
Oh, Dadichi. Okay, that's an interesting subject. You're suggesting we should...
No, because you said devotees said, oh, people don't like us, but that's the best thing to do, because we don't go out because people will like us or not, but because we have to.
Why do we go out? Why do you go out on the street? Good question, actually. Why do you go out there? Some of you don't, but those who do, why do you go out there?
Give people a chance to connect with Krishna through the name, through the invitations, through the literature.
Books.
Yeah.
That's a practical answer. Is there any other answer?
It's the instruction of Chaitanya.
The instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do so, which is right here in this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. To please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to please our spiritual master. And you may get there may be other reasons why you go out also, but these are some of the, you could say, recognized reasons. You may go out for motivated reasons. You may go out because you enjoy it. You may go out, nothing else to do. You may go out because you make some money. Some people go out, they like that sort of thing. They're naturally going to do it. Are you going to be around for a few minutes this morning, Jiva Pran?
I don't know yet.
No, none of us really know, but I mean in terms of planning. Are you planning to be around or not?
Yes.
Is it possible to see you for a few minutes with at some point in the morning?
Sure, Maharaj.
With Rasaparayana also, Nanda Shrup also if possible. Maybe at least the two of you. At your choice, at your time.
For Rasaparayana should be before 11, because she has a class at 11.
Okay, Saturday. He has a class on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. If it's possible. Thank you.
We'll make it.
Yeah, definitely they get great benefit just by taking that conscious picture of the devotees, even if it's not favourable. There's one man yesterday when you were in Anvers. Yesterday, I guess he was a Christian, I don't know. Two fellows. He stood, a kind of bulky looking fellow. What was he saying? Jesus! 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 He was going like this in front of us.
He probably wasn't thinking of Jesus all day until he ran into the Hare Krishnas and they started thinking about Jesus.
Yeah. Maybe thinking of Hare Krishna. Somehow or another, people come in contact. Something's there. And the more we're in contact, it's only natural, the more you can connect others. The more voltage is, the more effect will be there. You're electrified. I remember one time I was in Vrindavan, 6:30. in the evening. And for those who, I don't know if anyone in this room has experienced it, when Indra Prabhu was leading kirtan, he used to lead, depending on the winter or summer, this was, I can't remember which season it was, but anyway, he was leading kirtan. And a big, the root temple was packed, you know, and as it always would be when he came back from Harinam, we were doing street Harinam. There was a group of tourists on a mystery tour. They'd gone to Agra and they were stopping off from a few undeclared stops. So one of them was the Krishna Balaram temple. And they were Germans. They were businessmen from Germany. And I saw some of them came into the temple, some of them said, I'm not going in there. But some of them came in, just out of whatever reason they came in. And I was right next to Prabhupada's Vyasa stand there, and some of them stood right next to me actually, watching what was going on. It was quite fascinating. There's Indra and Prabhu, and if everyone's ever seen Indra, he's what you say, you can't miss him. He's one of those persons whose presence is very clear. And hundreds of devotees gathered around, members of the public gathered around, chanting very loudly and very clearly. And these two men were stood there just like watching, like there was no expression practically. So I spoke to them, I said, I asked them who they were and what they were doing and so on. They told me. I said, well, what's your impression of this? They said, one of them said, I've never had an experience in my life before like this. I said, I'm very interested in Philharmonic music, church music and so many things. I said, but I've never heard anything like this. It's like my heart is like pounding. It's vibrating in my heart. I don't know what's going on, he said. This is so powerful. He was like almost, he was captivated. He was almost like mesmerized by the chanting. Never seen, or maybe he's seen Hari before, never asked him. Never had any contact with the movement. But he was mesmerized by the power of the kirtan. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We wish you all the very best today on your endeavors to please Lord Chaitanya and glorify him by just doing books and chanting Hare Krishna. Do your best. We can't, we're just instruments and we try our best. Maybe Vasananda, you're going to give it a go in the park? Pardon?
Yeah, I think so.
Yesterday Mahananda Prabhu went for a Japa walk. What's the name of that park? We had the Bengali program in last week. Pardon?
I know.
The Bengali.
La Courneuve.
Yeah, it's got its own name. The park has a name, but it's in the area of La Courneuve. It's between there and Staines, whatever you call it. And it's a beautiful park, it really is. It's very, isn't it? It's very nice park. You feel like you're in the countryside. You can completely forget if you were thinking you're in the city. It's like valleys, trees, and it's so nice. And they're quite big. And anyway, he went there for a Japa walk yesterday. There were tens of thousands of people there yesterday, Friday afternoon. Tens of thousands. Mostly, North African or from black or Asian, mostly, of course. But there's tens of thousands of them on there, he said. And they're, because they have, in the center of the park, they have this huge screen where they're all going there to watch the Olympics. Those people aren't probably going to pay money to go and watch it literally. So they're all going there. It's a beautiful setting. And maybe Rasananda Prabhu, as we discussed last night, maybe I'll go there to see how it is, to check it out. There were dozens and dozens of Christians there giving things out all over the place. So, maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but he's going to probably give it a bash today. Janananda will drive him down, see how it goes. Could be. At least that's one place where people gather during the Olympics, other than in the actual arenas and areas. We'll give it a go. Anvers was very nice yesterday. Very crowded, huh? Quite busy. Very nice, no problem. Police have eased off, they're not so prominent in their street presence. Things seem to calm down a little bit, so maybe opening up a little bit. Hare Krishna. So spread the reputation of Lord Chaitanya everywhere. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.
Janananda Goswami
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna,